So much, Mr. Chairman, and thanks to Ranking Member for organizing this hearing. And thank you, Chairman Phillips and Commissioners Danley, Christie, and Clements for taking the time to testify before us today. I also appreciated Representative Peters' comments about innovation in my home state of Texas, where we really have been and continue to be at the forefront of all kinds of energy, both traditional and renewable. But we have also experienced the very worst of the failures that we're talking about here today. And so the work that you do is incredibly important to us. And it's really important that we're talking about these issues here today. So I do want to talk a little bit about an issue that we haven't covered as much in detail today, but I think it's really important, especially because it relates to a lot of the work that we are doing in my hometown of Houston. We are very focused on capitalizing on the great investments that were made in the last Congress and the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, the Inflation Reduction Act in particular, and the emerging technologies that we think can help us address our current challenges and really power our future while also addressing the climate challenge and reducing emissions. So what we are seeing in Houston is an increased demand in the market for hydrogen. It's something we've been very actively working on. Currently, there are about 1,600 miles of hydrogen pipelines, and they're generally concentrated along the Gulf Coast, as I'm sure that you know, and nearly all hydrogen shipment occurs in dedicated hydrogen infrastructure because of its chemical nature. So if we want to see the hydrogen programs that are included in the IIJA and the IRA succeed, we're really going to need to build out the necessary infrastructure to move hydrogen at scale. And so I really want to focus my questions to y'all on these issues because I think there's some open questions right now. Currently, the regulation for siting, commercial service, security and safety of hydrogen infrastructure is divided between various federal agencies, including FERC, and the Surface Transportation Board, Transportation Security Administration, Department of Transportation. This large collection of jurisdictional oversight and the ambiguity associated with it has, I think, led to a lot of regulatory uncertainty in this space. And I think that that has the potential to hinder a lot of the projects that we are very interested in seeing move forward. So clear siting authority for unmixed hydrogen really is needed to provide the clear pathway for potential projects that the folks who are developing it really need to see. So I want to ask each of you this question, whether, in your opinion, FERC is the best situated agency to play a lead role for siting interstate hydrogen infrastructure projects, similar to its responsibilities for natural gas and petroleum pipelines. And I'd like to start with you, Chairman Phillips.
Thank you for the question. I believe, given FERC's experience with natural gas pipelines, and as you mentioned, we currently have regulatory authority over blended hydrogen and natural gas, I believe FERC could absolutely take on the responsibility of pure hydrogen. Of course, I urge Congress, any new authority that they give us in this area, please be specific. Be specific. It helps us implement down the road and avoid costly litigation or delays.
Thank you, Chairman Phillips. Commissioner Danley?
I'm not certain that we actually have jurisdiction under either the ICA or the NGA, so it would probably require an enactment to make that clear. But I generally would advise that you not subject nascent industries, especially those that you actually wish to promote, to the full panoply of federal regulation immediately. So even if we are the best, I'm not sure it should be regulated at all immediately at the federal level.
You're not sure that hydrogen pipelines should be regulated at all at the federal level?
No. But I should say that by FERC at the federal level, because the entire panoply of regulations that attend FERC jurisdiction are quite onerous, and these are typically borne by well-established companies that have been operating for the better part of a century. I just am always cautious when people talk about giving additional jurisdiction to FERC. I always suggest they slow down and think through the consequences because it can be difficult operating under a FERC paradigm.
Well, I'm going to run out of time, so I'm going to move on to the other commissioners, but I may have some questions to follow up with you on the record after this hearing. Commissioner Clements?
Thank you. I would agree with Commissioner Danley that we would need clarification as to this responsibility and support the chairman's perspective on both the need for specificity and also the need for the staff to support something like that. Contrary to Commissioner Danley, I've had stakeholders coming into me and saying, can you let us know how you're going to do this? Can you please talk about this? So I do think there's a desire for some sort of regulatory certainty at the federal level. Thank you.
And Commissioner Christie?
I think if you convert a natural gas pipeline to a hydrogen pipeline, I think it's very questionable whether we would have authority under the Natural Gas Act. So I would urge Congress, if you want us to regulate hydrogen pipelines that used to be natural gas pipelines or build new ones, that you really need to pass legislation and make that clear.
Well, thank you very much. I will submit some additional questions for the record. This is a really interesting topic, and I thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, for allowing us to have this exchange this morning, and I yield back.